Welcome back, everyone, to Ruby Lane Dolls Live. We're here with Michael Canadas.
Hi,
Hello.
Rachel.
Hi.
Rachel, I'm glad you're back.
I'm glad to be back too, and we are back with all of our viewers who are right here in the Dolly Cam, and we are about to show you something so special and so magnificent, and I guarantee you it's the first time it's been shown on video that I know of.
Yes, I think you're right.
If you remember this, share the video so more people can see it, because this is a treat. Michael, what are we about to see?
Well, this may be the first time it's been shown on video, but it is not the first time it's been shown. This antique shop has been visited by millions of people, if not hundreds of millions of people. This is something that's very connected to the history of California and the history of amusement parks. This is also a story about the American dream, because it started off as a little berry stand on the side of the road. Then it turned into a fried chicken dinner business, and it became Knott's Berry Farm. Mr. Knott started to build the farm as a ghost town, and then it became an amusement park. And I visited it in 1971, and the admission price was 25 cents. And we went on all the rides and did all the things that you could do there. But the place that I loved the most was the miniature gallery. And in the miniature gallery, there are massive houses and a baby shop and a doll shop and a china shop. But there was also the world famous spinning wheel antique shop. So here it is today.
And just so you guys know, they had 4 people bring this in. This is heavy and massive and huge. So it is a huge miniature. And it is so exciting to see it.
It's over 6 feet long. It's over 6 feet long. And at the time that Mrs. Mott was collecting these items, there were obviously no online sources for these things. There were the good old-fashioned way, which was going to antique shops like this shop and hoping that you would find something.
Exactly.
And occasionally, I would imagine she probably looked at Hobbies magazine, which was a source for miniatures. But these things were very hard to find. And yet she managed to furnish, literally hundreds of buildings with miniatures. So she was very devoted, and I think they became very successful. For some reason, the Knott's Berry Farm decided to close the miniature gallery, and this was sold off and went to Angel's Attic Museum. And then we acquired it from Angel's Attic Museum when they closed.
So this is just so wonderful to see, and the miniatures in here, all of them are antique and vintage miniatures.
Absolutely.
If not, most of them I would say are borderline antique.
Yes. Oh, they were already antiques when she was buying them.
When she bought them. And
yes.
she couldn't go get these on Ruby Lane. You can get things like this on Ruby Lane and a lot of places now, but not back then.
No. And not only are they miniatures that were things for dollhouses, there are some very fine art miniatures in this shop also. Lalique and other really kind of great pieces of art glass, miniature pieces that they made. But here's where you can really see the beautiful windows. I mean, wouldn't you just love to go into this shop? And I'm going to open, while you're looking over there, Rachel,
Look at this, everyone.
So you can go inside.
We are about to go inside this massive, wonderful vintage antique shop. If I found a shop like this, and it is hard, they still exist in the United States, but not many. If I found a shop like this, I would stay for hours. There's so many treasures. So we're going to go right over here into the first section of this antique shop. Look at this, everyone.
This section is a little more of the primitive types, not necessarily all primitive. There's some very fine things, but there's your kind of early American look. But there's also some French items. There's some classic dollhouse pieces in there, the Earnhardt and Sohn and Lionheart and Kessner pieces. So there's a lot of the classic things that you'd find, in a dollhouse inventory that someone was selling. And little miniature golf clubs, little Vienna bronze doggies, you know, just some really wonderful things. One of the things I think is amazing is the little punch bowl with
Look
the
at that.
original ladle still intact. That you don't see every day, surviving.
You certainly do not. And
Beautiful
as you,
lighting fixtures.
There's my hand. You got. I have
Yeah.
a large hand, but just so you can see the scale. If somebody was just tuning in, they might think we were in a real shop.
Yeah, it does have, and I do love it closed, looking in the windows, because it really does take you away. In Angel's Attic, they put dolls in the shop. I do not believe when I saw it in 1971 that it had dolls in it, and I don't really want to put dolls in it because I think that this type of miniature, when you look at it, you imagine yourself in it.
Right.
So by having a doll in it, it takes away the magic of it. And that's what they actually decided with Queen Mary's dollhouse, is that putting dolls in it took away the imaginary, you know, your imagination of, you could put yourself into that royal palace.
Exactly.
But you could also put yourself into this wonderful antique shop.
Could. So many of these wonderful treasures are just treasures in and of themselves, like this tea set right here.
And I don't think that we could even begin to count how many things there are in this space. And one of the wonderful things that I normally don't like to have this done is Mrs. Mott glued most of the pieces in position in the situation that she wanted them, which makes it really, really easy for us because, you know, you go in and you put your hand in to move something and you knock something else over. So that was a really nice thing for her to do, and it was also helps with maintaining it because you can just take a little dry brush, you know, clean dry brush and brush things off to dust it.
Well, that is very true, but in the defense of that, you have spent a lot of time putting this up, and we are so excited and thrilled that you did, so we could see it.
We had to put, I mean, this is the first day that this has
been
in this facility. So
it has just arrived. Look at this.
It's just arrived. So we did have to, and then I looked at the packing job that we did. We had a very limited amount of time to get it out of Angel's Attic Museum. So it wasn't the greatest packing job, but it worked, and we really had only one casualty, and actually the casualty may have already been there, and it just got worse in the packing, but we managed to do that. But
this is
it's just got a really wonderful, and look at, if you can get in there and see the rickety staircase that Mr. Mott built.
Let's see if we can do that.
It's like something you'd see in an old time antique shop, and you know, the upper the mezzanine is sagging under the weight of all of the inventory, and the little molds up on the walls.
So if you were a child and you remembered seeing this and pressing your face up against the glass just to marvel at all of these things, we are actually inside it. It is the closest anyone has ever been. Anyone from the public.
Yeah, I think so. Other than the Mott Museum and the Angel's Attic Museum and now the Grovian Museum.
It's just wonderful. Is this going to be on a permanent display or on display
going to
for
be
a while?
Here for a while. I think the one thing that we're going to learn from this, and the public educates us. Everybody in our studio audience that's been here and the staff, everybody here is enchanted by this. And I think that we'll have we'll see that the public will feel the same way, and also too, it's something that children will be pressing their. One of the things we know about whether we've been successful or not is our window displays that are out on Forest Avenue here, which is one of the main arteries in the street. If we come in the morning and there are cheek prints all over the window, or this print, then we know we've been successful, because, and this is the same kind of thing. There's that magic of looking in a shop. But I think you should look into this department.
We cannot wait.
This is my favorite department.
Look
this
at
is
this
just
department.
filled with elegant, beautiful porcelains and glassware and
just everywhere you look, the
furniture.
keys on the wall.
Yeah, those
just
are
so many wonderful little touches that are very authentic to an antique store.
Absolutely. You had chests of drawers that had keys, and you had to supply keys to your customers. So that was absolutely necessary. But look at this gorgeous little glassware.
Look at all of
And
that
the
glassware.
patience that it took to collect that. You know, now you could easily do this with, you know, Ruby Lane and other sources. But in her Mrs. Mott's time,
Yeah.
this was a, you know, I mean, she was absolutely a fully engaged collector to make this work.
She was always on the lookout.
She
You can
was.
tell everywhere she went, and she probably found a lot of these things in very unexpected places.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
We're gonna try and go
I think
inside
at one
here.
point, as she probably got very involved in it, as I've said in other videos, Rachel, that we've done, is that, you know, you have to build relationships, and I'm sure that she built a lot of relationships with dealers that saved beautiful things for her and knew that that's what she would like, and set it aside for her, because this is a big building. There were many big buildings in that.
Look at that piece of art glass. There's art
Yes.
glass in here. If you guys
And
came
that's
into
the
this
real
place,
thing.
that is exactly.
Yeah, that's the real thing. That's not a little dollhouse piece. That's a miniature.
That is a miniature
art
piece of art glass. How exquisite.
And one of my favorite things too is I always love bird cages.
Look at that.
Those are great. And
Little painting,
yes.
everything.
beautiful Armalou chairs, and there's pieces by Kestner and Schneegass. And then, you know, this is a very early, probably 1820s piece. So it really is a little antique shop.
It is an
And then
antique
there's
shop.
a little book, comic bijou. And what I think is interesting, she used to hold the book close, part of an earring clasp. So, I mean, there was, at this point, there were no shops to go and buy miniature wallpaper or all the things that you have today. So, you know, she really was extremely clever.
As far as miniatures go, in your experience, what is it, one or two of the items that are within this shop that you do not see very often?
Well, there's a lot. Like one of the pieces is that banquet lamp. That's a banquet lamp. It's called a banquet lamp, where it has the cherubim
It's right there.
holding that up. That you don't see very often. This Paris type porcelain, that's very, very prized. The this Armalou chair is an unusual piece. There's really
Extremely,
a
with
lot
the needle
of
point on it.
really rare lighting. But let me show you something too, because I think this is probably, one of the most beautiful things. I believe that Mrs. Mott was very talented in floral arrangement.
Look at that.
And this is really, in her period in time, this would be how you would get a flower arrangement. Now, this is a simple little thing. It's not a fancy schmancy.
But it's very beautiful.
But it's very beautiful. And we also have, we got a swinging lamp. We also have her floral shop, so I can really see, this is probably, you know, if you have a business where you have millions of people coming to see you a year, and you're running your berry farm and your pie business and your fried chicken business and all the concessions, this, I think, was her escape. This is how she unwound. Like, for instance, I'm in the doll business. I don't consider dolls relaxing. To me, I see them as work and a career. Yes, I collect them, of course. But I find miniatures very relaxing. I'm very happy to sit and clean and arrange, and you know, I love to have the time to sit and make a little. So you can see that she had a lot of talent. So it's not actually. It's more important, Rachel, historically as a whole than as
pieces.
as pieces.
Absolutely.
Individual.
And we want to show everyone the door that says Elizabeth A. Mott, proprietor. What a wonderful body of work and legacy that she bestowed to the world by putting this together.
And for those of us that, you know, still have a child within, when you see this, it brings back a lot of memories. I know that Judy's here in our audience, and she saw this as a little girl, And you know, there were a lot of things to do at Knott's Berry Farm, but you know, they had a hard time peeling me away from this.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't have ever imagined in a gazillion million years that it would be sitting here in Pacific Grove, you know, 40-something years later.
40 years later, and it's going to be a part of an exhibit you have coming up with a couple other of the wonderful pieces from this, from the Knott's Berry Farm collection.
Yes, there are going to be, and actually it's all kind of a jumble of what we have, but we do have some other pieces. There's some other pieces that we're not going to keep because there's a smaller antique shop that's very nice. At some point that'll be on Ruby Lane. But there's some that we're going to keep. One of the problems with having them is that they're big.
Right.
And these are not little. And as I've said before on our videos that we've done, David and I like two kinds of houses, little tiny ones and giant ones. So it's, we kind of don't really go for the normal ones that are easy to display.
Wow, it is such a treat, and thank you for bringing it in here and setting it all up last night so we can just marvel and share it with the world today.
We're glad to do that for you, and we're glad to share it with the world, but we really did it for us.
I love it.
You
we
guys
like
were,
an honest man.
Yeah, you guys were the ones that got us moving.
We got the benefit.
Yes, you did.
We got to reap the benefits,
Yes.
but you get to enjoy this for many years to come.
I enjoy, okay, so that I enjoyed doing it, I enjoy seeing it here today, but then the second wind of enjoyment in collecting is when other people enjoy what you've collected. And you can stand back and you can kind of relive it again. And a lot of people that, when this was in Angel's Attic Museum, a lot of the docents and a lot of the people that attended events there, they all remember this as from their childhood.
Right.
And one of the games that everybody played is, what would you pick if you got one thing to pick? And that's really a hard game.
Yeah.
And it's very thought-provoking. What would you pick if
What
you
would
could
you
have?
pick?
Which, the answer to that is I would pick this.
Smart.
So that's, I'll take this.
Well, I'll take it too. We hope you guys enjoyed this look into this amazing antique shop in this antique shop that we are in right now. So if you enjoyed it, share it, and we'll see you a little bit later for more of our party. Bye-bye.